means to you, and what you think consent is not consent. My name is Sophie Hannah, and this is the CINE vlog where I talk about films, film reviews, and everything to do with film. And today I'm talking about the Netflix film 365 DNI, or 365 Days. Now, where do I begin? Let's begin at the top. This is a film that's based on a Polish book, and it has been called the Polish 50 Shades of Grey, which I think is a very accurate explanation for this film. An interesting fact is that this book is part of a trilogy. I'm not really too sure what to think about this film. Will there be another film coming? Who knows? Now, the plot is about a gangster kingpin boss who sees a woman once and falls in love with her on the spot. He then kidnaps her later on and gives her 365 days to fall in love with him. Because he's a gangster kingpin, you know, there are certain deals and plots that he has, but generally it's about this kind of quote-unquote love story that I will say for the moment we'll call it. Now, in terms of the pros, number one has to be the main actor in this, Michel Monroe. He is Italian and he is extremely good looking. I'm not gonna lie, he's a very good looking guy, which allows probably a lot of the crazy stuff that happens in this film to be, I wouldn't say allowed, but why it has found a certain audience. Because if he wasn't good looking, if he was somebody who was not typically aesthetically pleasing, this whole film wouldn't carry. I think he's also a decent actor as well. He really carries this character across, for better or for worse, and I'm probably gonna say for worse, but this man is a piece of eye candy and is definitely a pro of this film if you are into men. Another pro of the film would have to be that this is just extremely watchable. It's for me, my opinion, this is my vlog, so I'm gonna give it, this film was watchable beyond belief, and that's not because it's good. I wouldn't say that's the reason. I'm really caught on that opinion, which I'm gonna talk about. Now, in terms of the cons, let's talk about genre. Let's talk about that first of all. Let's talk about that as number one. So in terms of the genre, I guess 50 Shades of Grey was like a erotic sensual romance. I'm not sure if that's what you would class it as. And as I said earlier, that this is probably like the Polish 50 Shades of Grey. It really has those elements, but I don't really think this film knows where to stand. So it's also kind of a bit of a gangster film as well, but it's also trying to be like erotic plus a romance. It's humorous in parts. Like, this film is a mishmash of all different films put together, honestly. So when I was watching this, I was thinking, okay, so it's a bit like Beauty and the Beast with the kidnapping, and it's a bit like Pretty Woman because he has a lot of money and he treats her and buys her a lot of stuff and takes her on shopping trips. It's also The Godfather, that kind of Italian kingpin vibe, and it's also 50 Shades of Grey. Like, it kind of moves back and forth between the four of those different types of films and genres, and I don't think it's done very well. It just makes it more entertaining for me. I don't think it should have been funny, but I found it extremely funny. The plot and script are just terrible. He constantly follows her around and he's like, hello baby girl. That's what he says. I'm just like, oh, just cringing because it's so corny. In terms of the more serious things, in terms of the cons, one of them would have to be the way that it looks at consent, and I'm talking about specifically when that comes to sex. Because he's kidnapped her, he said he's not going to force himself on her, he wants her to genuinely fall in love with him. Let's put to the back of our mind first of all that he kidnapped her, because if we let that go, the idea of consent is not just good, it is centrally important to any relationship. There should be two consenting adults who are getting involved in a relationship, in a sexual relationship for sure. But he tells her he won't touch her until she consents. But then my man is literally holding her by her neck, holding up against walls in anger. You know, he keeps telling her, don't tempt me, don't tempt me. It's not her job to really withhold from being herself, wearing what she wants to wear, because it's going to tempt you to force yourself upon her. Like, that is a very dangerous comment and statement that it's making, especially in rape culture, where we're really trying to open people's eyes to, there is nothing that a woman or anybody has done, man or woman, to have somebody force themselves on them. And I'm just like, sorry, what does consent mean to you? Because I'm not sure what consent means to you, and what you think consent is not consent. And I think that's why a lot of people have had problems with this. You can't say consent on one hand and then do all the things that he's doing, because you're really misrepresenting to people what consent is. That leads me on to also another con, is the sexual scenes in this, and they have really, I wouldn't say have tried to make it realistic, but they have really tried to up the ante from what was seen in 50 Shades of Grey, if you have seen it. They're pretty intense when they do happen. They all seem to be from the male perspective. The woman is very much there to serve the sexual needs and pleasures and desires of the man, and I found that just really poor filmmaking, really poor storytelling, because sex should be shown to be something that is enjoyed by both parties. When it does kind of finally happen, it all seems to be about him. He kind of uses her as a rag doll. She's kind of flipped and thrown and all over the place. Men should not be watching this thinking that this is what women want. You know, we're all just dying to please you, because I'm going to tell you it's not. 100%. Another con for me is the way that they've really made love look like abuse. He says that he loves her, but the way that he treats her a lot of the time is not very loving. It's mixed up with moments of kindness and then moments where he's treating her disrespectfully, equating love with abuse and saying it's kind of like this kind of dangerous, risque, bad boy kind of persona that she's kind of falling for. Again, I think that's a very troublesome narrative to be making in this day and age. And to be honest, when I was watching this film and I took notes on it, one of the notes was, how on earth did this film get made in this day and age? Like, how did this get released? But those are the cons, and they are plentiful. In terms of ratings, I would give films a maximum of 5 burgers, 5 being the ultimate and the best, and I would give this film 2.5 burgers. The 2.5 is the fact that this film is so unbelievably watchable. Dare I say entertaining. It wasn't edifying, but it was hella entertaining. It made me laugh. I just thought it was absolutely ridiculous. And if there was a sequel, I'd watch it. I'm not gonna lie. I would watch it. If you watch this, you cannot take it seriously whatsoever. You have to suspend any ideas of equality, put feminism on the back foot, don't think about misogyny, don't think about abuse, and don't think about consent. But I'm gonna leave the decision up to you. I always like to end my film vlogs on a question, and today's question would be, what is your favorite romance film? 365 Days kind of poses itself as a romance, but it's questionable. It's extremely questionable. Please let me know down below by leaving the answer to that question in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel by pressing the red button so you can see all the latest content I'm coming up with. But until the next time, I'll be seeing you.